when we talked a little bit about what makes the most impact on a project, we talk a lot about staging, we talk about design. And so when we met Sarah and Cody, we were so impressed with all the work that they're doing, working with investors across the country. So they have experience not only on the design perspective, they've also done over 50 flips of their own. So they come at this with a really unique perspective. And I'm excited to hand it over to them to go ahead and kick us off.
First of all, for having us here. Super
Yes,
excited.
absolutely.
Glad to see how we can help people tonight figure out how to make their homes look better. The market is getting really soft out there in a lot of places. It's getting tougher to sell projects. And the idea as an investor is that we want to be better than everything else that's on the market. So yeah, we're going to try to share some tips tonight on exactly how to do that. Doesn't matter where you're located. All of the principles we're teaching you tonight apply anywhere in the US. We've done 100 projects in over 10 states. So we've done all sorts of homes. All right, first, designed by investors for investors. So like Mariah was saying, we are investors first. We've done over 50 flips ourselves, all through Texas and Louisiana. So first and foremost, we are investors before we're designers. So what's really cool about our perspective that I like to say is that, like, we're not here just to spend your money. That's not the goal. Our goal is to figure out how we can achieve the best look possible at the lowest cost possible. So it's a lot of value engineering. We want to take a look at the house and just see how we can get the best value out of it while spending the least dollars on the most important things. We want to make sure that we're just getting the most value possible. Yep. All right, so tonight is about how to design like a pro. We are going to learn how to make your project stand out in today's hard market. All right, first thing we want to look at is how to design for your home's buyer. So whenever we get a property, the first thing we do is take a look at it and say, who's going to be buying this house in the back end? Is it a large 5-bedroom, 3-bath home that's going to be taken up by a family? Or is this a condo close to downtown that a single person's probably going to buy? Are they a young professional? Is this in the city, or is it, a little bit blue collar, maybe out in the suburbs? Is it rural? Is it urban? All those things are going to affect the way that we're going to design this home and the person that we're designing it for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the first question we always ask whenever we buy a new property for ourselves, and even when we're working with other investors, is like, who are we designing this for? Because functionality is key when you're doing a flip. And I mean, we make them functional for everyone, but it's really designing based on who are you targeting? Who is your target buyer? And let's design for that person.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that we're going to want to do is take a look at that. Secondly, we want to take a look at the architectural style of the house. Here, this is like the 6 most common types of homes that we see people across the US investing in, at least for flips. It's going to be ranch, mid-century style, farmhouse, modern, traditional, or coastal style. These 6, you can see they're sort of identified by their roof lines. And that's kind of what we want to make sure we kind of highlight here, is that when you buy a house, you want to take a look at the shape of the home. So you can see here, ranch style homes, they're always identified by these gables here. And they're normally like 1 or 2 different roof lines. So you can see here, we just have this single gable that runs right across the front, and then a smaller gable here. Small little hip there, but this is sort of what gives away that ranch style look. You see a lot of these homes in the Midwest. You see a lot of them across the South. This is primarily what we see investors flipping towards. And that's sort of what we're going to use to kind of walk into the next step of like, okay, how are we going to choose the design for it after that? Mid-century, you can see they have these sharp roof lines. Normally there's like this one kind of off roof line like this that's just got something that's sharp angles, not flat the same way that modern is. Modern is usually going to have that flat look. Mid-century is going to have something with these sharp angles. Your traditional farmhouse, you can see it's always going to look like it belongs on a farm, honestly. Lots of gables, usually really tall homes. They usually have pillars out in front, some type of columns, things like that is kind of what you're looking for. Like I said before, the modern is going to be these flat roof lines. That's what you're going to just identify from there. And then traditional here, you have the traditional square pillars out in front. What's sort of like another identifier of traditional?
You'll see the columns, you'll see sometimes a lot of brick homes. If you leave the brick, maybe you don't paint the brick. Yeah, really, they look very boxy. A lot of traditional homes look, a lot of those will be like 2-story. Yeah, just kind of like very colonial. That's very traditional.
Yeah, lastly, coastal homes. For all you people in Florida, this is like almost everything that you guys have out there. So you're going to see a lot of blue tones. You're going to see a lot of windows. You traditionally see a lot of metal roofs too. In the South, when you get your ranch style homes, you really rarely come across metal roofs like this, but we come across a lot of those in Florida, a lot of those kind of on the kind of like the South Carolina coast, places like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we said, every house kind of tells a story. So this is kind of where the story starts. You can't blend when you're designing, it's really tough to blend like a coastal interior to a ranch exterior. It won't function. It won't flow. If you've ever walked into a home and just kind of felt like, oh, this just doesn't really go together. That's why, is because whoever renovated the home, whoever built the home, they didn't tell the story A to Z and make it make sense. Yeah. It's more like they're just kind of throwing random curveballs inside of the story that's already being told. And just at the end, you can't really piece it all together.
Right.
This is where the storybook of the whole home starts. So this is always where you want to start.
And we always say too, like it starts in the exterior when someone's looking to buy your house. Like they will drive up, they will pull up, they'll be like, oh, I like this or I don't. And that curb appeal is so important. And you just want to make sure from the exterior as they're walking in, is it cohesive? Does it make sense? Does it all flow together? So that's key.
All right, so next thing we do whenever we're taking a look at a house, okay, we've determined the type of home, we've determined our buyer. Let's say it is a family. We've determined that it is a family ranch style home. So we have a really long, wide house, 5 bedrooms, something like that we know a family is going to buy. We sort of built our design around that farmhouse design, but we want to see, okay, what are the areas that we should spend the most money in the flip to actually get the most money out? That's like the biggest question for all investors. We boiled it down to really these areas is kind of a good place to start when you're looking at that. So when you're determining your budgets, the areas you want to spend the most money on, always, bar none, is your cabinetry, your kitchen cabinetry, and your vanities in your bathrooms. Those are so important. If yours are old, falling apart, it's really tough to just doll them up and make them look good. And it's really, really worth spending money on. We spend money on most of our cabinetry in our houses just to make them pop for the home buyer. Quartz countertops is the next thing. Granite is just really falling out. And Formica is almost impossible to sell these days. Nobody wants Formica anymore. Quartz countertops, we found that you can they're manufacturing quartz so cheap now that you can really get this for pretty much the same price as granite, if not maybe just a little bit more, but it's worth it on the back end. Buyers are starting to expect things like quartz countertops because everybody's offering them now. So we have to stay up to date with the clients, stay up to date with what they want. Accent tiles, that is so worth spending money on. It's kind of an example here. If you look at the bathroom on this top photo here, this shower tile only has 2 walls of tile. Now this is a Z-Leash tile. It was a little bit more expensive than your normal shower tile, but think about the actual area that this is covering. You know, it's not covering very much area. So for us, we always think it's valuable to spend a little bit more money per square foot on those types of things. We think it's worth it. We think flippers get the money back out of it on the back end. Buyers notice whenever you spend a little bit more money on your tiles, your accent tiles, you do kind of pattern floors and things like that. We find that buyers really notice that. And then your front door. Your front door is the entryway to the rest of the house. So if you have to jiggle on the handle to try to get it open, it doesn't shut right, it's not attractive, it's automatically giving your buyers the first impression. It's a bad first impression when they walk into your project to get it sold. So we always tell people, put a new front door, make it really nice, paint it a pop of color, give buyers that really good first impression when they walk through the door.
And if your budget like doesn't have enough to do much on the exterior, just change the front door. That's really all you need. That will give it that updated feel that it needs and that people are looking for. I feel like that really just like brings the exterior all together.
Always.
Okay, so the areas we like to save money on is lighting. You know, a lot of people feel like I have to buy a $300 light fixture. Well, we buy most of our lights for, you know, $100, less than that.
$80, $60.
You know, you can find really quality, great looking lights on, you know, we shop a lot from Amazon and Home Depot and Lowe's, and just as long as they look updated, that's the key. You don't want to choose a really outdated ceiling fan that has the strings hanging down. Like that's an outdated look. People want the ceiling fans that have the remotes. They want the different lighting functions. That's what people are going for. And then plumbing, we really kind of base this on our ARV that we're shooting for. If it's, you know, a lower rehab, not throwing a bunch of money into it, we'll stick to like Allen and Roth, which is from Lowe's, for our plumbing fixtures. But if there's something that it's selling for a lot, we'll choose Delta. So we kind of determine that a lot on our ARV that we're shooting for. And then hardware, cabinet hardware, there's a lot of great options that we choose a lot from Amazon and Lowe's. They're heavy, they feel sturdy. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You know, there's no need to be spending $10 per cabinet pull. Like that's crazy. And then flooring, we save a lot. Actually, LVP, we use in almost every single one of our projects. We've recently started using laminate as well.
So they're coming out with new versions of laminate for everybody to just kind of wonder about. They're coming out with new versions of laminate that are water resistant and waterproof. They're like the same price as LVP flooring, but the quality whenever you step on it is so much better. And they're the same price, if not a little bit cheaper than LVP flooring. So laminate's making a comeback. We always think it's worth saving money on your flooring. You can find great options for $2 a foot, $1.90 a foot. You can always find really, really great options in lower price ranges. So
just make sure it's waterproof. That's key.
As long as it's waterproof, it's gonna be
especially because like a lot of times we don't put LVP or you know that in the bathrooms, but we will put it in the kitchen, and it's nice to have a waterproof option in your kitchen
100%.
or even laundry rooms too.
All right, next, this is getting into the meat of everything. Once we've kind of done all this stuff, we kind of have everything put together. We're going to teach you guys exactly how we build our design plans from scratch. So first thing we do is we build design boards for the property. So we basically make a giant list of everything that we need to design within the home. So light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, tile, flooring, all of that stuff. And we're going to build all of this into design boards. Design boards are going to walk through room by room of the house and show you the exact products that are going in each room in order to kind of give you that full view of the house to make sure that, okay, the light fixtures in the primary bathroom match the ceiling fan in the living room. You know, that's part of that cohesiveness of design that we want to make sure that everything is functioning and flowing good all together. So there we go. Okay. This is an example of one of our design boards. So this is for a flip that we did. We actually have this package online as well. We just want to kind of show you guys exactly how this looks. Now, you can do this inside of Canva as well if you just kind of want to start piecing this together. But we suggest everybody should be making design boards for their property.
We also use these not only for visual purposes, but whenever we do them for an investor, we send them these design boards, and number one, hold your contractor accountable. Number two, their contractor will print these out and tape them in every single room of the project. That way, all the subcontractors know exactly what's going on in every room. So it keeps everyone organized.
Yep. So you can see we literally just walk through the house room by room and put every single product together. All of your like trim styles, your baseboards, all of your hardwares, things like that. And we just walk by room with all the light fixtures and flooring. All the design choices we're going to organize into these design boards to be able to see, okay, does the primary bathroom match the guest bathroom? Does it match the kitchen? Does it all blend together seamlessly?
And two, this is not just like inspiration. These are real products. So you can click on these links and it takes you straight to the product as well.
Yep. So you can see it just walks through the entire house, and we're able to kind of use this to say, okay, do the products all kind of work together to make the design of the house all blend together? But also number two, do all the products meet the budgets? We want to make sure that every single product on here meets the budgets and that we're not blowing our budget on design. Like we said before, like it's one thing to make pretty homes. It's another thing to make pretty homes that make money. So that's kind of like our thing, is that we want to make sure all these properties are actually making money.
Yeah.
So after we've done that, we'll go back to the presentation. After we've done that, we build the finish schedule, which your finish schedule here is basically we take all of the products that are inside of the design boards and we organize them into the finish schedule. I'll show you as an example of that as well. Okay, great. So this is an example of one of our finish schedules. You can see here, everything is separated by material type. And this is the finish schedule that's for those design boards we just showed. So I kind of want to show you guys exactly how this works. Inside of here, you can see we do this before we start every single project. So every single project is going to have full design boards and a full finish schedule before anybody swings a hammer to have everything fully organized like this. So, for example, if you want to find your primary bathroom floor tile, you basically just go here to your tile and flooring tab. You go to your primary bathroom, and here's your floor tile. It gives you a type, supplier, manufacturer, the direct product link, all these things. And this helps us throughout the project to be able to actually source our products, things like that, to be able to stay organized throughout the project, and also to help with our budgeting. So we'll always input the quantities that we need here. So we can import, let's say we need, 65 square foot of this tile. It automatically populates here. So this is like the budgeting tool that we use, plus the organization tool that we use for our projects. And this is building a professional design plan is circled around these two things: the design boards, the finish schedule. Being able to take that for your property and implement it before you ever swing a hammer. So that's the thing that keeps like kind of amateur investors from the experienced investors, is what level of a plan are you walking into this project with? Or are you just kind of walking in, swinging for the fences and kind of just picking things as you need them? That leads to a non-cohesive house.
Or leaving your contractor to pick them too. Here, based on your quantities, what your materials should cost you. Like, this is a great budgeting tool that we use for our material cost.
Yep, it keeps your contractor accountable to their prices as well. Last but not least, we also build a project board for every house. So we kind of want to show you guys an example of that. So we built the design boards, we built the finish schedule. Now we want to build the project board around both of those things. Now this is where we actually put our material ordering schedules. This is where we put our project schedule. We track all of our deliveries and things like that. So show you guys an example here. This is for an example of one of our flips. So you can see we take the entire project and we basically import it into this project board. So this is our entire schedule of when everything should get done on the property, when the start date should be, and when the complete date should be. So we can actually go in here and say, okay, when did we install this beam? Started this into this. For the design, this is what we use this for. We use this to basically build a materials list. So we'll take the finish schedule, we'll build our full materials list, and then we use it as a material scheduling order. So we know when we need what materials by, things like that. These are the things that sort of separate the amateur investor from the experienced investors. Like I said, what level of a plan are we walking in with? We have a full design plan. We build that into a full renovation plan so that everything is picked and sourced on this project before day one. Before we ever swing a hammer, we know exactly what this project is going to look like in the end. All right.
Okay, and so how do we make our project stand out in today's market? I mean, I think if you're missing any one of these things, I really feel like your house will sit and people are just going to look right past it, or they'll do a showing and they're not going to move forward with it. So your design, number one, has to be cohesive. You know, like we said, from the exterior, walking through, you know, if you're going for mid-century, does it show mid-century throughout? Are you not using the right colors? Are you not using the right tiles that are mid-century? This house in this photo here is mid-century. So we have the green, we have the brass, we have this really interesting like backsplash. I mean, it just has to flow. And then is your home functional? Is the floor plan functional? Oh, hold on, we had a sorry.
Put the chat box out of the way.
Is your home functional? You know, is the floor plan, does it make sense? Like a lot of times if you have 3 or 4 bedrooms, you know, 1 bathroom is not going to be enough. So making sure to like you choose a very functional floor plan and something that makes sense. Quality workmanship. We take pride in our work that we do. If it's, you know, grout is not perfectly, you know, installed with the tile, or paint is just like the work behind the paint is not good, or light fixtures are kind of crooked, like people are going to notice those things. So just making sure your work behind the product is actually quality. And for every single one of our projects, we do furniture, we do staging. So we feel like this helps with photography. People want to know as they're walking, not only in photos, but when they're walking through in a showing, how is this going to function for me? How do I lay out my furniture? Can I fit my king size bed in this bedroom? Like people want to be able to visualize themselves in each space. So that's really why we use furniture staging, and the photography. Photography matters. You know, are you showcasing the right angles? Are the edits right? Like we make sure we put some time into our staging and photography and money into it too. And is it priced right? This is I think the most important out of all of it is if you have a really great house and it's designed perfectly, but your ARV, your price point is way too high, it's just going to sit. So this is something we always ask ourselves to picture yourself living in the home. How would you want it to function and feel? Like if this had to be your house, what would you want out of it? And that's what we produce for every single one of our flips and for our investors as well.
Yep. And picture yourself as the end buyer, like we said. Okay, if you're designing this home for a single bachelor close to downtown, it's a condo. You know, what type of lifestyle is he going to be living? She going to be living? The same thing goes for a family of 6 out in the suburbs. What type of lifestyle are they going to be living? What are the things about the home that make them functional? For example, you know, like a family that's living in the suburbs with, you know, a couple of kids, they're probably going to want a really nice built-in locker when they walk in the door to be able to hang backpacks and shoes and things like that. Those are the things that you're kind of wanting to think about. So picture yourself living in the home. How does it function? How does it feel? Does it have a really big kitchen? Does it have a lot of space to store pots and pans? Or, you know, how is the primary bathroom? How is the guest bathroom? Are there 2 sinks because there's a lot of bedrooms and multiple kids? That's sort of the things that you want to be thinking about as you're designing your home is, okay, we want to make this function, quality for the buyer at the end that's going to be buying this home. All right, so how to make your project stand out in today's market in 2024, the trends that we're seeing in 2024. Everybody wants to know, what are we seeing come into style? Because design is something that's ever changing. Right now, we kind of think design is going through a little bit of a cycle, and the things that are sort of working their way in are going to be here for a while. So 2 of the big things right now is like the cabinetry. Cabinetry is going through a really big thing. We hate to tell everybody that white kitchens are out. White cabinet countertops, white cabinets with black hardware.
It's okay if you have white cabinets, but you have to have some dimension behind it. You know, if you're going to do white cabinets because that's really all your budget can afford, okay, well, do like a nice gray quartz, or do a black quartz, just to kind of give it a little bit of dimension and depth, because the white on white, people are over it. Yeah, and even just the white and black, the whole modern, you know, I'm sure everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. The whole white and black look is out. Like white cabinets and, you know, black cabinet pools, like that's just gone. People want something more interesting. They want something more visual, more color. That's what's coming back in.
Yep. So what we're seeing work right now, especially with cabinetry, is either colored cabinetry or doing white oak or walnut cabinetry. We have examples here. This is 2 of our projects that we did. You can see here we use this nice green vanity in this photo, and then this was light oak. So both of these homes, we got a lot of great feedback specifically about these vanities. People really, really liked them. And I think that just shows in the market, like, you know, sort of that cookie cutter look is going out. People want a little bit more, like Sarah said, a little bit more depth, a little bit more interest in things like that.
And please don't think we're getting these custom made. That would be very, very expensive. These are furniture style vanities that you can buy. This top one, the green one, is from Floor and Decor. And then the bottom one, I want to say Wayfair. So they're very affordable. I mean, depending on the size, but yeah, I think the one at the top was maybe like $500.
$500 or $600, somewhere around there. Doesn't break the bank.
Right, but it comes with the countertop, it comes with the sink and the cabinet hardware already ready to go. So it saves you a lot of cost on that versus like if you were to get just prefab cabinetry, that can get a little expensive for a bathroom.
Yep. Mixed metals are something that's coming in. So a lot of people get surprised whenever we say this. You know, normally people like to either stick with like all brass or all champagne bronze or all black, or all even brushed nickel, but nobody likes to mix them. Mixing is really, really popular right now. So both photos you can see we mixed. This was a property from about this time last year, so it's just over a year ago. And then this was one that we just completed just a few months ago. So they're sticking around. You can see here, we did gold on the fixtures, we did black and gold on the lights, and we did black on the mirrors, little black accent on the photo frame here too. Same thing goes for down here. We did gold on the fixtures, we did black on the, we did black and light fixtures, black on the mirrors, gold on the plumbing fixtures, and then black hardware. So you can kind of see how like it all ends up blending together really well. I think probably just like Sarah said, buyers want to see a little bit more interest, right?
Yeah, they want to see a little bit more effort into the design. I think, you know, 2020, 2021 was really easy to just do white on white and everybody was going for that. But now the market is so saturated everywhere. And if you have something, we always like to say in every room, there should be at least one wow factor. And what does that mean to you? You know, like, is there an interesting tile? Is there a really interesting light fixture? Something that's going to grab people's attention right when they walk in. That's what's going to stick in people's minds. So yeah, I mean, and this is another thing, I'm really picky on brass. If you are going to use brass, there's a lot of different shades of brass out there. If you're using champagne bronze, make sure all your brass fixtures are champagne bronze. If you're using brushed brass, make sure they're all brushed brass because they will change so much. And yeah, there's nothing worse than when those finishes
when the golds don't match.
Yeah.
The golds have to match. That's the most important thing, and the golds have to match.
Yeah. And
is that something else that's really in right now, are the pattern tiles, the Z-Legion pattern tiles? Like we showed that shower a little bit ago, that shower was a Z-Legion tile. You can see here that we use pattern tiles in these bathrooms. So pattern floors here, this really cool pattern tile, and then another, it's like a terrazzo tile here down in this bottom photo. Both of those are, I think one's a Floor and Decor tile, one's a Home Depot tile. They're not super expensive. Like we said, you can get these things for not that much cost.
Yeah.
Just in our opinion, buyers really, really like whenever you, like Sarah said, put a little bit more effort in the design. You do with some of these pop factors, wow factors in all these areas, just to give a little bit more visual interest and just not make it so washed out.
Yeah. This bottom photo too, you can't really tell the green tile in the shower. We only did that on the back wall because we didn't have it in our budget to do it on all 3 walls. So what we did it on the back wall to make it kind of stand out moment. And then the side walls, we just did a very basic, cheap subway tile, a white subway tile. So that's how we made it a little bit more visually interesting and to make people say, oh, wow, that's unique. I haven't seen that before. And to keep our costs down.
Yep. Even in this bathroom here, you see we did a really nice furniture style vanity, did some cool pattern tile floors, but we kept the walls just white subway tile.
Yeah.
Kept it really cheap just to be able to kind of save on money there. So people really love just whenever you put some, it doesn't like, not the whole bathroom has to be some crazy tile. Just take a small space and do something really cool with it. Just so you put a little bit more effort in it.
It can even be if your budget, all there is a white subway tile, you know, that's all you can afford. And those will probably run about, you know, $1.50 a square foot, $2 a square foot, maybe even less than that. Lay it in a unique pattern, you know, The brick, horizontal brick lay like this is out. People are no longer doing that. They want to see vertical stack. They want to see basket weave. They want to see all these different install unique patterns that are interesting and visually interesting. So don't feel like too, if you're like, well, my budget I can't afford a unique pattern or a unique tile, just lay it in a very interesting pattern.
Yep. Finally, natural looking flooring. It's super big pet peeve of ours whenever somebody uses like gray LVP flooring.
Yeah.
Like those gray tones or even like really dark brown, stuff like that. All that stuff is long gone.
You will see in 2025, darker woods are making a comeback. You will see some vanities that will be darker woods, but flooring, I still think people are going for more of a natural look. So kind of stick more to like the color in the vanity at the bottom. People are really liking, it's kind of giving more of like an earthy, organic feel. So yeah, that's people looking for.
All right. The main thing we always like to say is that design is not only about how it looks, it is about how it makes you feel. That's the most important thing when you're walking through a house is like, how does the home make you feel?
Yeah.
That's all about the cohesiveness of the house. Like we said, telling that story from A to Z, like making sure that it all follows the same plot. We have a really nice mid-century home on the outside with the really sharp roof lines. We want to make sure that we're accenting that same home with the proper elements to make sure that it feels like a mid-century home as you're walking through it. Sort of invokes that feeling of, you know, a little bit retro, something like that, versus if we're out on a ranch, we're in the suburbs, we have a really nice farmhouse. They want to give people that farm feel. That's what you move. You typically move to homes and move to areas for the feeling. And we want to be following that feeling.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And just, yeah, like Cody said, make sure it's following.
Yep. All right, that's really probably about all we have.
Love it. Great advice. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. We're going to go ahead and share all of the resources that were shared here in the post-event email, as well as the recording. So thank you both so much. And then, you know, for all of you who are, you know, obviously Backflip members and guests, we do these twice a week, or twice a month. So we'll see you hopefully in 2 weeks, and we'll get the next one scheduled, hopefully with you, Cody and Sarah, soon. So thank you again so much.
Guys.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we really enjoyed it.
Have a great night, y'all.